start to their long weekend. I like a good old-fashioned pitcher's duel, Brendan. I don't know about you. I'm a little old-fashioned like that, but that is what entertained us late last night.
Plenty late. And, Matthew Liberatore exceeding expectations, going toe-to-toe with a good one on the other side. How about that Cardinal bullpen? That was a fun way to win a game that, I don't know, it felt almost like it was too easy compared to how dangerous a 2-1 game like that should have felt.
Right.
A lot of fun for the Cardinals to start it off that way.
It is very notable how they were able to get it done. So we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. Well, tough news for the Royals. Cole Ragans on the 15-day IL. Ouch. We'll see how long he actually stays there. Maybe a question as to what his future could, if this is really bad, what his future as a Royal is. Honestly, at 5:25, we'll discuss that. We'll have Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com talk some NBA with us at 4:25. And at 5:05, forget what they want to do with expansion or what's already happening. You control the college football playoff and the NCAA tournament. How would you form it? How many teams? How many rounds? Whatever. Tell us how you would form the NCAA tournament and the college football playoff. We'll do that at 5:05. Call or text us at 875-KTGR, but let's get to this first.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Well, it's the St. Louis Cardinals after heading out on the road late last night in San Diego. The Cardinals getting the road trip off on the right foot. 2-1 winners over the Padres. Cardinals and Padres now have the same record, by the way. 22-15. Cardinals 7 games above 500. I believe they're right dead even on the run differential now. But they'll be a team that continues to outperform that if they continue to get the type of pitching that they got last night, particularly from their high-leverage bullpen arms. Matthew Liberatore was really good. 6 innings, gave up just 1 run, 3 hits, 3 walks, had 6 strikeouts, which is good to see from him. But the relievers, the way the 7th, 8th, 9th is beginning to line up for the Cardinals when you have everybody rested and available like they did last night, that's where I feel like this team can continue to sustain what it's doing. George Soriano, JoJo Romero, Riley O'Brien, 3 shutout innings between the 3 of them, just 1 hit allowed. That is your Big Show's Big Deal on this 8th day of May, 2026. 875-KTGR. Andy, I feel like that's the recipe. That's the way the Cardinals are going to continue to outperform things like run differential, expected win-loss, all those sorts of stats. It comes from winning the close ones, which they've done to the tune of an 8-2 record so far this season in 1-run games. Last night was another example of that, and you're doing it with those late-inning relievers, and I'm adding George Soriano to the circle of trust.
Yeah.
Like he's in there as that kind of third guy. Cardinals have had this recipe in recent years where they've got a 7th, 8th, 9th that you really feel good about. Guys like Phil Maton, Andrew Kittredge. They maybe thought Ryan Stanek could be that third party, that third wheel, and it just hasn't worked out. But George Soriano, I think, is developing into that guy right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, you have him as that 7th inning guy pretty clearly. And then Romero is good in that role, and O'Brien with the gas that he has been throwing so far. And look, Brendan, you can roll that 3 right out there again tonight if you need to. George Soriano, 12 pitches. Romero, 7 pitches. O'Brien, 10 pitches.
Yep.
That's
why I said it was easy.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that easy.
No, it should not. That's a
Padres.
That's a Padres lineup that is stacked,
they got
man.
Dudes.
Yeah. I was a little surprised at how well the Cardinals were able to pitch the content. And look, they made good defensive plays. You give them credit for that. But it was very much right at guys. The Padres were 1 for 1 with runners in scoring position. When they had a chance to have somebody come across, they took advantage of it, but it just never really materialized all that much. Pedro Pages throwing out a base steal. There were a couple reviews last night that were very key and very close.
Yeah. It was that second base reviews on stolen bases. We had a couple of those, and I guess there was an umpire crew chief review as well within that because the Padres had lost a review early on a challenge, and then they were allowed another one, but they classified that one differently. Kind of weird with that, but it was a well-played game, well-pitched game. You mentioned it. It was a pitcher's duel. Michael King was good on the other side. Alec Burleson gets to him with a home run. That's all the Cardinals really got against the Padres starter. And maybe some conversation on both sides about how early the starters were taken out. King was out after 86 pitches, Liberatore after 81. Based on the way we talked about Libby yesterday, it wasn't even a thought for me that they would take him out after 6. Like, that's exactly what you're looking for them to do. If he's going to give you 6 innings of one-run baseball, like, you're going for that. I feel like there was not really a question there. With King, though, I don't know. Maybe there was a conversation to be had about the idea that he was out a little bit early. He 86, so he had thrown more pitches than Liberatore, but I bring it up because it was the very next inning that the Cardinals got their second run, and that ended up being the difference.
Right, and it was a little notable that the Padres went with that. I was a little surprised, but maybe they just also felt, hey, we've got a bullpen that's pretty darn good. They turned to a guy that coming in had an ERA under 1, and it's still under 1 after he gave up a run last night in an inning. Like, it's still a guy that you trust to be out there and keep the score where it is. And honestly, Brendan, like, I put more of the blame, maybe a little bit, on Nick Castellanos for giving up that run. Nick, yeah, he went for the catch.
Not a great defender.
No,
and that was a conversation too for people who thought, what the Phillies going to do with him this offseason? Are they going to get rid of him? Cardinals could use an outfielder. There are people wondering, do you trade Arenado for Castellanos and like take down the money a little bit and just kind of really trade out one problem for another? That was never anything I was interested in. And I don't think the Cardinals were either when you think about the way that they have prioritized defense into their outfield and the way that Castellanos plays the position and did last night.
875 KTGR, weigh in with us on how the Cardinals did in their win. But yeah, that was what you hope is more of what Matthew Liberatore can show. It won't happen every game. Like, he's got his flaws as he has shown, but like very clearly the high end of Matthew Liberatore is very effective, and it showed up again last night. And even though they decided to take him out and not let him go on into an extra inning, there was still, I think, a very smart thing for them to do because of how this Cardinals rotation is still trying to figure out third time through the order, just across the board. Like, it's not even just Kyle Leahy, but it's other guys too. And so I do feel that with Liberatore being used in this fashion, you can get exactly what you need out of your rotation. And that's ultimately what the Cardinals should be seeking, because the offense has shown to be there most nights, even though they didn't have an awesome night last night. The missing piece is, do you have a pitching plan that can hold up for several weeks when you go through tough stretches? And now I think that was a perfect example of how it can go to start out a series against a team that is just as hot as you are at the moment.
Yeah, and again, they got the starting pitching they wanted from Michael King. He was really tough, and you'll have games like that. I think Liberatore elevated his game. The breaking stuff was particularly good, which is why he was able to get more swing and miss in that game last night for the 6 strikeouts. Like, he's not a guy who strikes out a batter per inning, but he was last night. And he has, the Cardinals as a team, each reliever had a strikeout, so they had 9 in the game. Like, that was good to see. That was a really, really strong pitching performance and an offense that, whether it's a timely knock or a timely bomb, like however you want to classify it, they're consistently finding ways to, when the situation demands it because the game is close, they're oftentimes finding that 1 or 2 swings that they need to be able to at least put their bullpen in a position to do what they did last night, which is to close it down.
And man, Alec Burleson, this guy, he's one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now over the last week or so, with how he's been pacing things for providing the power that the Cardinals need in some pretty key situations, and did it again last night when they're just trying to find something. But Michael King does not offer up very much. Like, that changeup, he maybe hung 1 or 2 of them in his entire start, but Alec Burleson punished one of the very few mistakes that he did and didn't make a mistake. Like, this guy is, we know that he is not talked about enough in the national scale, but like, even for what we know Alec Burleson to be, last 7 to 10 games has been awesome from him. And I wonder if there's another gear being reached.
Yeah. I mean, Alec Burleson, we still want to kind of see, I think, consistency against lefties, because like you look at the splits for him, there has been a disparity there. But that's the case for a lot of left-handed sluggers in the league. Like, I don't think he's necessarily standing out as, oh yeah, he's the only guy that deals with this. But he's a middle of the order bat on a contending team. I think that he has shown enough for us to be able to feel good about that. And like, you start looking at this Cardinals lineup, and we continue to ask the question of, is it sustainable? I talked about from the bullpen aspect how it is. Like, if those three guys that were relievers in your game last night end up continuing to be that way, just shut it down. Not really anything to it. One hit between the three of them is all they allowed as far as base runners. Then that's a feather in your cap. But from an offensive perspective, I feel like you look at that top four, and Weatherhold, Herrera, Burleson, Walker, I'm going to say, are all going to be there in some capacity. By there, that might just mean like upper 700s to 800 to 850 OPS. I'm not assigning to Walker that he's got to be a 970 OPS all year. But I think he's proven that he's a good player in this league. So if that's your top four, we start to look at that bottom half, and now we're nitpicking a little bit because we see the Cardinals capable. We see them as a team with potential to do some things this year that people didn't think they would 6 weeks ago. So with that in mind, like, a lot of conversation around Nolan Gorman. He didn't have a great night last night. I think Nolan Gorman, for what he is honestly fine. The problem comes where you start to expect more from him and say, oh, I'm hoping for him to break out. No, man, like, we've seen him for 3 years. We kind of know what he's going to give you. I just think it looks a lot more delectable if Nolan Gorman is doing the Nolan Gorman things from a little bit lower in the lineup. And he may get that opportunity when Lars Nootbaar returns. So, like, you can start to really piece together, I think, a lineup like Mason Wynn, perfectly satisfied with what they're getting out of him in the 6th spot. You know, Pajes is going to be in there 60% of the time behind the plate, and he's going to bat 8th when he's in there. And then you kind of figure out between Victor Scott and Nathan Church which guy you really would like to see man center field once Nootbaar returns. That's a 1 through 9 that, if you combine it with all of the other stuff, consistently getting 5 or 6 from your starters, the bullpen guys who are the ones you're relying upon when you're in those close games, keeping you there, like, there's a recipe here that can be sustained for the long haul, provided the Cardinals stay healthy in a general sense. Like, I'm liking the lineup, even in a way that I think gives you another boost compared to what we've seen so far.
Yeah. I mean, the only hope is that, well, I don't know if this is fair or not, because Gorman upping his numbers helps the Cardinals' cause of being a competitive team for longer than we expected. And again, we're talking about trying to reframe what we think this team is based on what we thought they were coming into the season. But Gorman raising his numbers and potentially doing it from the 7th spot, it not only helps the Cardinals, but again, if you really do want to get something from him at the trade deadline, it only helps there too. I would argue that, like, look, if he keeps playing really strong third base, and again, the power is there, maybe not as much the on base or the contact or the things that you seek for guys to move runners over. Like, there's still some value in that from the 7th spot if you can get what you expect out of Nootbaar, and hopefully he's okay to come back when he is first eligible. But like, it helps the Cardinals' cause, like, so you can hold out hope from that aspect, but maybe also from, you might still even be selling at least a little bit when you get to the trade deadline and you're still a competitive team like this.
Yeah, I don't really know with Gorman, like, what the angle is there. If there ends up being trade value, like, that's kind of a secondary thing for me. And with Nootbaar, I think it'll be at least a week or so beyond the minimum. Like, it'll be early June, I think, before he's back. We'll get more information on that if he starts his rehab, as they have kind of alluded to, sometime this next week. But yeah, like, I just think that even though you could look at it as an example of last night, where Mason Wynn was stranded on third base at one point, Nathan Church strikes out, Pedro Pajes grounds out after the triple that Castellanos allowed to become so.
Yeah.
And then later on in the game, you get runners on first and second, and they have Wynn bunting, which was something I actually didn't like. I oftentimes am agreeing with strategic decisions of Oliver Marmol. That one for me was like you kind of already saw what that 7-8 grouping is more than likely to do if you're relying on them to drive in the run. I've got a runner in scoring position, a second run for my closer as a margin rather than just that 1-run lead, which it didn't end up mattering. But that second run could be really valuable. I've got one in scoring position. Maybe contact guy, just put the ball into the outfield, get a base hit, and you score a run. I'm not bunting there ever. I just don't really understand it because I don't know that I have quite that same level of confidence in Church Pages thereafter, even if the bunt works. Let alone you start baking in the idea that, well, what if the bunt isn't the strong suit? And Mason Wynn will tell you, I've got to be able to get that bunt down in the right area to be able to advance the runner.
I just thought it was a great play by Ty France, honestly.
It was
he was a great going play, for it. Yeah.
And it was a good defensive play. My thing is this. If it works, are you in that great of a position?
No,
like you still then need Nathan Church to deliver that fly ball, which we've seen him do at times. And that if he strikes out, which he did the previous time in that same situation, you would then need Pages to come through with a hit. And I would rather take my chance with Mason Wynn at potentially blowing this thing so far out of proportion that I save Riley O'Brien for another day, which doesn't really matter because, like you said, he didn't throw that many pitches and he'll be available tonight, as all those relievers will. But that was the one little nitpick that I had. But other than that, I mean, just a really, really solid all the way around type of game for the Cardinals, and one where, it does highlight a little bit that even in a 2-1 game, I start to look at this lineup and say, like, they're going to be able to potentially elevate it beyond what we're already seeing. And if the other stuff holds with regard to the pitching, you're talking about a very steady group. I mean, who's their best starter? I don't know. I know McGreevy's got the best numbers right now, but if he gets lit up a little bit tonight, then maybe everybody's sitting at a 4 ERA. You're like, I don't even know who their number one is, but I don't really care because for the most part, all 5 of them are keeping you in games. Like there isn't a lot of distinction between 1 through 5. Most of them are going 5 or 6 innings and they're giving up 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 runs, but very rarely is it anything beyond that. And that's keeping them in these games. And more than often than not, they're finding ways to win those games.
Yeah, for now, that's a rotation that you can work with, and you don't have to expect more out of any one part of it, which is kind of nice sometimes. You know exactly how to plan it out and get relievers ready, things like that. And then every so often, like you don't necessarily have to, even though you do already, have too many contingency plans for when somebody blows up and you just got to have the bullpen cover a bunch. Like, that these guys are going to work their way through at least into the 5th and get you somewhat to that bridge there. So yeah, I am interested to see how McGreevy does, like, because let's say he doesn't, get lit up a little bit and it still keeps that ERA under 3 with how he performs tonight. I would at least like to see some gains from Michael McGreevy of that way. Like he's shown him before, obviously, and he's faced tough teams, but this is just another example of a lineup that clearly is probably a little frustrated with how they did last night, not just against Liberatore, but everybody else. And now McGreevy is the one that they make adjustments to, and we'll see how McGreevy does in that situation.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been pretty darn good. I mean, 2.5 ERA so far, despite, his game against the Dodgers, he said after the game, he didn't feel good, didn't feel like it was just physically a good day for him. So him being able to kind of learn on the fly how to work with his, less than his best and pitch the way that he pitched in that game last weekend makes you even more excited to see tonight on another kind of standalone game. They'll have the Apple game late tonight on the TV side, like continuing to kind of let the world, the baseball universe see what the Cardinals are about. It's going well right now, and maybe McGreevy can keep that up tonight.
Yeah, if he can get through 6 innings on 88 pitches again, like that'd be nice. And last time out didn't allow any runs. Like it's just there have been very steady outings so far from him. And so that's just what gets me excited about. If he continues to stay healthy, makes the adjustments, does this against tough lineups, then you might have something more on your hands. You don't need it. Cardinals don't need that right now, but it could be very enticing to think about down the line, something that you hoped Michael McGreevy could potentially be. Call or text us 875-KTGR. I do think I'll say that they won tonight. Griffin Canning's on the other side. Griffin Canning's pretty good, but only 1 start so far. I guess, did he start hurt or? come off the start in AAA.
I have not been tracking it, to be honest with you. Looks like the Cardinals lineup has about a 200 batting average against him lifetime. I don't know. I'd probably take the Padres tonight if I had to guess, just seeing Canning having one good start and nobody really lighting him up from the Cardinals side in their respective careers. So I don't know. Maybe this is one where the Padres get one back. But if they can't, if the Cardinals can take 3 or 4 in this series, you're feeling really good about the types of teams that they have gone toe-to-toe with recently and then would have gotten the better of, the majority of them. And I'll even count the Pirates within that. Like the Pirates are, after the Cardinals got done with them, they start winning games. They sweep the Reds last weekend, and it's like they're a winning ball club right now, too. You go from Pirates to beating the Dodgers to just 1 out of 2 against Milwaukee. You can take 3 out of 4 from San Diego. That would be noteworthy to me, and just continuing to pick up these data points on what this Cardinals team could become.
This is still very enticing with how the Cardinals have started out so far, and we'll see if that can continue. Taking on the Padres again tonight. First pitch is at 8:45. You can hear it on 93.9 The Eagle and 94.3 Cat Country tonight on radio. Over the weekend, you'll be able to hear it on 100.5 KTGR. Mizzou baseball comes on later on this evening as they finish out their home schedule with a home series against Vanderbilt. Updated start time for that tonight, by the way, 7 o'clock first pitch. Coverage will begin at 6:45 on KTGR. But call or text us. This Cardinals team, that's a game last night that makes a difference in how you finish the season. Just those one-run games, those nip-and-tuck type of contests, close it out with the bullpen. Cardinals were able to do all of that on the road against a very strong Padres team. We'll see if they can do it again tonight here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. We will talk next with Rob Veno, our betting expert over at wagertalk.com, as we are in the middle of the second round of the NBA playoffs. Where are the best bets? What does Rob Veno think about how things will go the rest of the way in this round? He joins us next here on the Big Show, KTGR.
The Big Show with Andy and Brendan continues next on your total sports station, KTGR.
You already know that Midway Electric is the top team of electrical pros in mid-Missouri for the last 25 years. What you may not know yet is that they can now service your HVAC system. So to make sure it's ready for the rigors of a hot summer, Midway Electric is offering a spring HVAC check for just $49.99, including AC inspection, preventative maintenance, and pressure-free recommendations. They can handle your electricity, so why not have them handle your air conditioner too? Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
My name is Cornell Dillard. For many years, I was stubborn from getting a hearing aid because of the stereotype. I went to hearing aid consultant because they're not trying to move a product. They want to work with you to make sure that you can benefit from their services. And I must say I was not disappointed. And I regretted all the years I let my pride interfere with my ability to hear what I'm hearing today.
Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmaker Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. Online at hearingaidconsultants.com.
Everyone's looking for their paradise. For some, the search starts at a dispensary. At Shangri-La, it is the dispensary. Because Shangri-La isn't a shady, I can't wait to get out of here kind of spot. It's a welcoming, fun place to hang out, watch TV, and learn about the massive product selection with the cool staff. Whether you're a regular or first-timer, they'll get you set up just the way you like. Because Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
Your yes matters. It matters to the mom waiting for a lung, the child hoping for a kidney, the grandfather praying for a new heart.
Because someone said yes, I got a second chance.
People are stepping up, making the choice that saves lives. Your yes can change everything.
Say yes today. Join the Missouri Donor Registry at DonateLifeMissouri.org. DonateLifeMissouri.org. Brought to you by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services.
You can read a room and a resume. You can also read people better than most. Perfect. Zimmer Communications is looking to hire a recruiter who gets it. Someone who moves fast, follows up, and has an instinct for finding future all-stars. A driven self-starter who cares about creating winning teams and building the right relationships. We're not looking for the perfect person, we're looking for the perfect fit. So if one of your superpowers is connecting great people with great opportunities, then we'd like to connect with you. We're hiring a recruiter. Apply now at ZimmerCommunications.com.
Riddle me this. You're hearing a squeak and a rattle, and you've got a dashboard light that pops on just to keep you guessing. Cool. Thanks, car. Look, you can ignore it or take it to people who actually know what they're doing. Riddle's Automotive Solutions. To you, it's a riddle. To them, it's just another Tuesday. Riddle's Automotive Solutions. 4300 Bold Venture Drive off Smiley Lane in Columbia. RiddlesAutomotiveSolutions.com.
I'm Robin Riddles. Come see us at your local mom and pop auto shop, Riddles Automotive Solutions, in Columbia.
What's new in the candy kitchen?
364 days out of the year, she cooks the meals, does the laundry, and drives the family taxi. Yet we honor her with one day only. That's right, just one. This year, make sure you honor the most important person in your life with the gift of the Candy Factory's decadent chocolate-covered strawberries. Then when Mom finishes the chocolate-covered strawberries and gives you a chocolatey smile, consider honoring her with more than just one day. Anniversaries, birthdays, Mother's Day. The Candy Factory in downtown Columbia.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got The Big Show on KTGR.
We're back here on The Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy Brendan and producer Drake here as we talk about the NBA playoffs in the middle of the second round now. And we'll see what the action holds this weekend as we bring in Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com for sports from a Vegas perspective, so we can get to the betting insights on all things NBA this weekend. On Twitter at Rob Veno Sports, and go to WagerTalk.com to see their great stuff. So, Robbie, I mean, so far, I mean, last night we saw a couple of pretty good performances from the 2-1 seeds, and I guess we'll start with OKC. Is this just a formality? Are they going to sweep their way to at least the conference finals, or is there any chance for the Lakers to at least get a game in this one?
Yeah, it'd be tough. I guess they are going home, and you can always, a team down 0-2 going home for game 3, always a consideration. But I think we saw the Lakers play so well last night, and OKC, actually, Andy, without SGA for a lot of time last night, especially when they put on that third quarter run. It's tough to play against them right now. They've beaten Los Angeles 6 times now this season, I think, and all 6 times have been blowouts. So it's hard, knowing that they're not going to have Luka Doncic back, the Lakers won't, to see how they can compete on the scoreboard against Oklahoma City. They may not cover every game. The Lakers may put up a pretty good fight in game 3, but I would expect, Oklahoma City's got one eye on that San Antonio series, probably hoping that the Timberwolves drag San Antonio through 6 or 7 while they try and finish this thing off in 4 and get some rest.
Yeah, and certainly they're looking to see how that'll go, and whether that does in fact go as long as possible. Do you expect that now? Because I mean, with the way that the series went in San Antonio, seems to be pretty competitive with the way these teams are matching up. But they play tonight. How do you kind of expect things to go there?
It's hard because I think that the first 5 quarters of this series, we saw a lot of defensive intensity, a lot of trouble for each side to score points. And then all of a sudden, start of the second quarter in game 2, San Antonio rattles off 109 points in 3 quarters. And there's some teams in the playoffs that haven't scored that in a game, including the Cavaliers and Pistons last night. But the 109 was kind of a surprise. I think a lot of Minnesota's ability to stay in this series or inability to stay in this series is going to depend on the real health of Anthony Edwards at this point in time. I'm not sure from watching him how healthy or unhealthy he is, if he's just, being a team guy and gutting it out, or if he was really healthy enough to come back as quickly as he did. Remember, at the time of the injury, most thought, maybe 2 weeks before we see him again. And instead, it wasn't 2 games and we saw him again. So I think a lot depends on him. I'd expect tonight, if we just start with tonight, game 3, I expect Minnesota at home to bring every single thing they have, much like the way they did against Denver in that closeout game, game 6. Minnesota basically knowing at that time that if it got back to Denver for game 7, as shorthanded as they weren't going to win that series, or at least their chances were going to be limited. I think they feel the same way mentally about this game here. If you go behind San Antonio 2-1, especially if you lose tonight off of the way San Antonio beat them in game 2, could be difficult for the T-Wolves. So I think you'll see whatever they have, they're going to give you tonight. And defensively, they have quite a bit. So does San Antonio. So we'll see how that one goes. But I think tonight will give us a lot of answers as to how, or at least who's going to win that series. I don't want to, predict 5, 6, or 7 games, but I think it'll give us a pretty good indication who's going to win this series.
Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com here on the Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app. Also tonight, with Philadelphia now having a chance to host this Knicks team. I mean, the Knicks have just run roughshod so far, and the way that they're trending into the rest of this series maybe depends on the health of Joel Embiid. But I mean, how have you kind of seen injuries affect this? Because also the Knicks are going to be without OG Anunoby, it seems. How are you kind of seeing all of this shake up with how those injuries have developed?
Yeah, it is funny, Andy, because the series against Boston, let's just start there. When Philly played Boston and they got down 3-1, Celtics looked like they were cruising. Those 4 games were played, 3 without Joel Embiid's services for the 76ers. And the 4th one was his first game back after the appendectomy. He didn't look all that good. They fall down 3-1, but then he got into a rhythm and they won 3 straight against Boston. But that's against a team that slowest pace. They play the slowest pace in the NBA, and they do nothing but shoot 3-point shots. And the Knicks are a little different. And I think that maybe Philadelphia can be all right, especially in this game, if Joel does not go. Because against the Knicks, we saw the other night, if you push pace against them, it's a little tougher for them to play defense in transition, for sure. And Philadelphia's got so much speed that they can score on them. I think the Sixers have a legit shot to win this game tonight, even without Joel Embiid. For that reason, styles make matchups. And in this case, I think Philadelphia, with their quickness on the floor, probably could beat New York. And OG Anunoby, for what it's worth, has been a great offensive force. But even more than that, he's one of their outstanding defenders, which should help Paul George here tonight a little bit. So I think Philly, with or without Joel Embiid, should be in decent shape tonight. That 4th quarter the other night, not only did Philadelphia go ice cold, 12 points in the 4th, but the Knicks also only scored 19. So that was kind of a mirage in this series. We'll see how it goes tonight. But I think Philadelphia, either way, with Joel, without Joel, I don't know that it matters much against this particular team the way it mattered against Boston.
And then in the series we haven't talked about yet, also in the East between the Pistons and Cavs, and how Detroit has inched out to a 2-0 series lead now. And man, the Cavaliers just didn't seem to have much hope, especially if James Harden is playing the way that he is. Just is not up to snuff in this series of yet. But it comes back to Cleveland. Do you expect that to be corrected at some point?
Yeah, they're the one team out of the whole bunch of teams remaining that is showing a true home road dichotomy. Against Toronto, they lost all 3 road games. Here against Detroit, they lost the first. They're 0-5 on the road, the Cavaliers are. But then they get home and they scored like crazy against Toronto. They won all 4 games. And so I don't know. Just off of what we've seen, I would have to believe that tomorrow Cleveland comes out and plays much better offensively and probably wins the game. Detroit obviously has had their share of cold spells in this series. And honestly, Detroit's getting a lot of praise at this point in time for, maybe it's a little recency bias, what we've just seen the last 2 games. But this is a team that was down 3-1 to Orlando, and then Franz Wagner got hurt, and Orlando couldn't win the last 3 games because they're just short one of their main offensive cogs. But Detroit was down 60-39 at halftime in one of those games. So it's a team that's subject to cold spells offensively. It's a team that lives off of their defense, and Cleveland's been getting offense right at home, just not on the road. If you just use that theory, Detroit will win the series in 7, the way Cleveland beat Toronto in 7. Each team will win their home game. So for Cleveland, not only do they have to win at home, which they probably can do, but they're going to have to go on the road in either Game 5 or Game 7 and get a win. And I don't know how plausible that is, Andy, off of what we see them doing on the road right now. This could be a team that, they thought they made the big move to get James Harden to get them over the playoff hump. Maybe not enough, and maybe they have to break things up even further for next year.
Maybe so. Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Robbie, off of the NBA for a little bit. Big news this week. Now a 76-team NCAA tournament. How do you feel about that, sir?
Well, of course, in my industry, the more games, the more point spreads, the better, right? That's the easy part of. As a fan of college basketball, boy, I don't know that it's necessary, Andy. I really don't. However, I will say that there are teams in the middle that finish in the middle of power conferences, or in this case, it would probably be in the lower echelon of power conferences that are probably as deserving as a small conference champion to get in. I don't think it's done for that, though. It's done obviously for money, and we'll see how it goes. Again, for me, it's not going to make a heck of a lot of difference. It'll just give me more opportunity to find maybe a soft point spread or a soft total, and maybe we can capitalize. But I don't know. As a fan, I just don't like the expansion all the way out to 76. I think it's kind of unnecessary, especially with the other postseason tournaments that you already have. The NIT now gets watered down. I think this year was the Crown that was played in Las Vegas, and you could tell by the field that they had that it was really watered down. So the NCAA just takes every team, and you guys can have all the real scraps now, whatever's left over.
Seems that way. We'll see what the first iteration looks like next year. Robbie, free pick time. What do you like this weekend that you want to make folks happy with?
The WNBA opens up tonight, and I could come at you from that angle, but I won't. We'll save the WNBA. We got a long summer. Also, UFL action tonight, involved in both, but I'm going to stick with the NBA here. Andy, I really think that the San Antonio, Minnesota game tonight, game 3, is going to be a defensive slugfest. Pretty physical. Both teams are good defensively. The total here is 216.5. I think it's too high. Generally, I've been coming on KTGR.
This is not like you, Robbie. My goodness.
If Brendan was here, he'd probably have to make me repeat all of this. But I do think it's an under. I think 216.5, a little bit too high. Probably see an under in that game. So that's what I'm going to leave you with tonight. The Minnesota-San Antonio game, under 216.5.
All right. Well, we'll be looking to see if that happens here this evening in Spurs Timberwolves. Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com. Great to have him here on the Big Show KTGR, on Twitter at Rob Veno Sports, and go to WagerTalk.com to see some great betting info. Robbie, thanks for coming on. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk soon.
Always a pleasure, Andy. Thanks for having me.
You bet. It is 4:40 here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Like, that is akin to me advocating for public money for stadiums. Robbie and unders.
Taking it under.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's a good comp.
Wow.
So that was recorded with Robbie a little earlier, and I wasn't able to join for that interview. But I'm messaging him right now because he almost gave you UFL.
Yeah.
And I'm going to the Battlehawks game later, so I kind of need to know what that UFL action would have been.
Are you trying to extract another free pick from Robbie? He gave us one. Come on. Oh, no. What happened to Brendan? Oh, no. Where'd he go?
You got me?
He's back. There he is.
Okay. I don't know.
He's back. He's a little softer, but it's all right. We'll figure him out there. That should be fun. Battlehawk. First of all, UFL, Cacaw. The games are everywhere. Like, they're Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. What's happening? I don't know.
Friday Night Lights vibes tonight, apparently. So
yeah. By the way, speaking of that, we now know exactly when Mizzou football's the game against Kansas is time-wise. That Friday, September 11th, 7 p.m. So you can officially mark your calendars with the time now.
Yeah, national broadcast too, as I saw on the television side.
It is on Fox. Yeah, that should be, again, kind of an interesting position for that game. I don't know how we've talked about how Mizzou people might feel about it. It obviously benefits Kansas a little bit more, but yeah, that should be good as well. But enjoy the Battlehawks tonight in the dome where they'll be playing Mizzou and Illinois probably next year. We don't know.
Now, is that game?
We don't know.
Is that a neutral site? I've seen it described somewhere that it's still going to be Columbia. I don't really know.
TBD for
I've seen that
2027 is what
but that's per one website. I saw a different website that was like, yeah, it's going to be in Columbia. So I don't even know if we know the answer. Yeah, maybe someone out there knows it. I'm not smart enough to figure it out.
It's very weird, but either way, they're good enough for the Battlehawks tonight, and hopefully it's a win. Columbus is the opponent tonight. There's a team in Columbus now.
And my kid kept asking me who they're playing. And I'm like, I don't know. It says Aviators, and I couldn't even begin to tell you who that is. So
I think I didn't know the name, so I guess we put it together. Columbus Aviators.
We added it up. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. But that should be fun tonight. Call or text us 875-KTGR. Onto the bus coming up next. Darren Peterson finally has an answer for all of the cramping that he experienced on and off throughout the college hoops season. I guess the question is, do we think that is legit now that he's saying all that? We'll get to that next.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Cardinals took game one of their 4-game set in San Diego yesterday. 2-1 the final score. Matthew Liberatore getting the victory, going 6 strong innings, allowing just 1 run. Alec Burleson a solo homer, and Mason Wynn with a go-ahead RBI triple to help the Cardinal efforts there as they look to get a second win in that series tonight in San Diego. It'll be Michael McGreevy on the hill for St. Louis. First pitch, 8:45 Central tonight. You can hear it on 93.9 The Eagle and 94.3 Cat Country. On KTGR, you can hear Mizzou baseball as the Tigers host Vanderbilt for their final home series of the schedule in SEC play. Updated start time for tonight. Pushed it back to a 7 p.m. first pitch. Coverage begins at 6:45 here on KTGR. It's a 4 o'clock first pitch tomorrow, and it'll be 1 o'clock on Sunday. And the Royals placed Cole Ragans on the 15-day IL with the left elbow impingement, so he'll be out for at least the Tigers tonight at 6:40. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast with the Boone County Office of Emergency Management. Make a plan, stay informed, and sign up for Smart 911 emergency alerts.
I'm ABC 17 forecaster Keller Matthews. I'm tracking some thunderstorms moving through the region tonight. A few pockets of isolated hail and maybe some gusty winds are possible, but otherwise nothing overly severe expected with this system. For your Saturday, looking beautiful, plenty of sunshine and temperatures in the low 80s. A few isolated showers are possible to start off your Mother's Day, but otherwise looking good. Things will clear out, get some sunshine by the afternoon, and temperatures in the mid-60s. I'm forecaster Keller Matthews, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Over the years, it has meant the Gas House Gang, Stan the Man, Lou Brock, Bob Gibson, the Wizard, Big Mac, Yachty, Waino, and Pujols. All those names, and they provided so many memories. St. Louis Cardinals baseball, most importantly, has meant championship baseball. We'll be describing every play right here on the Cardinals Radio Network, powered by Gray Bar.
Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
Play it or plunge it with Brian Ware Plumbing.
There's a guy that we all know, making sure our water flows. With a plunger in his hand, he's the hero of the land. You better call Brian Ware Plumbing. The clogs and leaks they never saw coming. Time to unplug your plumbing problems. 'Cause Brian Ware is here to solve them.
Vote now on the Brian Ware Plumbing Facebook or Instagram page.
Hey, construction dude, congrats on the killer contract in Cape. Sweet. So, how are you going to get that Mongo crane down to the job site? Here's a haul of an idea. Just Google I-70 Towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for heavy equipment hauling, too. Semis, dozers, RVs, goosenecks, farm and construction stuff, school buses, boats, bring it. If you use it, they can move it. Call the team they think you'll really love to meet. I70towing.com. Goosenecks. Give me some long necks.
Transparency is very important. And at Fuse 32, we don't just talk about it. You see, our money doesn't come by hiding costs. We make it by building brands that actually work. While others chase trends like letting AI do the talking, our team has real people you can actually meet. Like me, bringing you fresh ideas, bold strategies, and ROI. Your brand is alive. It just needs to evolve. So if your marketing feels stuck, try something that's not your typical agency. Fuse 32. There's nothing we can't do. Fuse32.com.
We're trying to save people money. Go. What if we cut sandwiches into thirds instead of halves?
We could stop buying warranties and just hope.
What about switching our toilet paper to half ply?
Ew.
It doesn't take a terrible think tank to save money. Just shop at Family Pawn. They've got jewelry, electronics, tools, and gifts for way less. No sacrifices, no half-ply TP.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
Hi, my name is Josh Dubert. I'm an exterior project specialist with True Sun Exteriors and Interiors. Composite decking is a great solution. It's changed a lot over the years. There's 30 and 50-year warranties on this material. Comes in a ton of colors, a ton of options. We're the only TimberTech Platinum contractor in this area, and why that matters is for multiple reasons. Is TimberTech trusts us to properly install their decking, and they have given us the Platinum accolade, which means if you call True Sun, you know that your deck is going to be installed correctly the first time, and it's going to last for a very long time. If you'd like us to come check out your deck, or you feel you might be interested in what we have to offer in regards to composite, I'd love to discuss it with you and have a conversation.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com.
When you think Crutch's Custom Exteriors, you think of the best decks in mid-Missouri. And pee jokes. That's fair. But you can think of them as the best landscapers in mid-Missouri too. Because come on, you gotta have a beautiful view to take in while you're peeing off your deck. That's right. Even the most incredible bathroom has nothing on the beauty that Mother Nature can offer. With Crutch's Landscaping, true beauty is on the outside. CrutchesCustomExteriors.com.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
It's time to go under the bus on The Big Show.
Well, a lot of what happened with Kansas revolved around Darren Peterson with their college basketball season. They're on The Big Show, KTGR, on the KTGR app. Peterson told ESPN in an interview this week that a lot of the cramping that was cited as the reason why he didn't play all that much, a lot of the cramping was due to some high doses of creatine that he was taking, I suppose, for making sure that he could help with pain relief, things like that. And I guess because he said he had never taken it before going into college, that he didn't react well to it. And we're just finding about this now because that was kind of revealed after, he says, a new round of blood work and other tests after the season led his doctors to conclude that, yeah, it was probably the creatine that was causing you to cramp up so much. I will give.
Are you skeptical? You sound a little bit skeptical.
Well, I believe some of it. I also don't believe that's the main reason. Okay. Like, there were clearly other reasons too. Like, you can say, okay, there were times where he wasn't healthy enough, and I can maybe excuse away some of the games that he missed for legit just not feeling up to play, and his body just wasn't letting him get to it. But Brendan, like, there are some clear spots where, like, he's playing a little bit of the game, but not like some of the crucial parts of the game. Like, that also is a little bit sketchy to me.
I'll never forget the moment where he knocked down a three against, like, I don't know, Oklahoma State in front of the Kansas bench, and then tapped Bill Self on the tummy on the way by to tell him, like, I'm good. That's enough for me today. Did the creatine do that? I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a nice story heading into the draft where he's hoping to make sure that everything that happened there doesn't impact his draft stock. but that is all I think it is a nice story.
Yeah, because clearly there was a bit of a rift. Now, how much you think the rift was driving it is up to your own interpretation, but there was clearly something there. So, I don't know, man. It might be true. I'm not saying it's false.
Under the bus.
But I am skeptical as to how much that was actually the driving force behind why he was absent so much, and in particular, when he was absent for some of these very key situations and key games. Also, under the bus to, we didn't get to this yesterday, but under the bus to Draymond Green. I mean, what a clown. Like, he's going on TV and he's trying to justify how he's going to compete for a championship, but realize, like, oh, our team's got some limitations, and everything like that. And so we have to redefine what success is. We have to redefine what success is. But obviously we're competing for a championship. Okay, buddy. This was all in response to, like, Charles Barkley kind of pressing him of, like, hey, what are you guys actually going to be? And he said, well, I just hope that I'm not you in a Houston uniform. Which is a little harsh, considering that Charles Barkley in a Houston uniform averaged like 18 and 12. He was a really good player.
It is funny, though, that this is a Rockets thing at the end of the day for Andy. It's
not even that.
That's kind of what it boils down
Rest
to.
of the Inside the NBA crew was with me on this because Ernie Johnson, Ernie Johnson got the last word in and put a stat out there saying, well, Draymond, you're trying to compare yourself to Charles Barkley, but let's be honest, you're more like Kendrick Perkins because you and Kendrick Perkins have the most games of which you had more turnovers than field goals made in the playoffs since 2003.
You think they came up with that stat on the fly, too, after he started talking trash?
Yeah.
Like one of the I'll tell you what, man, if you come swinging at that show, you best not miss.
Oh, yeah.
Because they will get you. That is cold-blooded.
It makes me get no, Draymond Green's not gonna. I am not gonna enjoy him in sports media when
that's where he's headed. You figure so.
Yeah, but Draymond Green
under the bus.
Any chance we get on this show, Draymond Green goes under the bus for various reasons. But that one, he took a shot at my Rockets, or at least a specific Rocket at a specific time. Not even my own most beloved Rocket, but every Rocket is beloved in my heart. Gosh darn it.
It's time for the sweetest thing in sports on The Big Show.
Oh, man. Hey, Abby Hay named to the SEC All-Defensive Team in the sport of softball, as was released today. This is pretty impressive. She had, at first base, most putouts of anybody in the SEC and a 1,000 fielding percentage. That's pretty impressive right there from one Abby Hay. And by the way, she also is pretty darn good at the plate, has a lot of power, Rockbridge product, of course. And so good recognition for Abby Hay to be on the SEC All-Defensive Team.
Yeah, she's making a lot of accolades for herself this season. Has had some big hits, and then doing it on the defensive side as well. It's pretty good. Like, my percentage was perfect, and I had as many opportunities as anybody, so you can't really take anything away from her when it comes to that.
And look, she's a fan favorite, obviously, homegrown product.
Local product, yeah.
And we'll see how it looks next year. There's maybe a little uncertainty as to what the future will hold for Mizzou softball. I think they should give Larissa Anderson one more year, but again, we'll see how it goes. It didn't end well, that's for sure.
No,
on Tuesday.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the sweetest thing, Andy, but it was disappointing.
Yeah,
it's a team that you beat previously, you swept them, and then all you gotta do is beat them, and you're probably in a regional. Like that stings. So we'll see what the way they decide to kind of regroup after that is going to be.
So congrats to Abby Hay, either way, for that recognition. That very cool. And I didn't see if the full all SEC selections were released, but in due time, that'll definitely be out there. Call or text us 573-875-KTGR. Okay, so look, there's been a lot of discussion this week about playoff expansion, both in college football and in the NCAA tournament. It's officially happening in the NCAA. They're talking about it for college football. They've obviously been talking about it ever since it has existed. That's been infuriating. But 24 teams is the latest proposal that is getting a whole lot of steam. But forget all that. You yourself, we're putting you in the chair. Create the NCAA tournament. Well, whatever chair you want. The comfy chair. You're thinking.
Can it be comfy? Because it sounds like it's going to be a difficult job. So I want to at least be comfortable.
Well, yeah, be comfortable, but also ready to think, I suppose.
Okay. The thinking chair.
The thinking chair. But in your thinking chair, come up with the ideal NCAA tournament format, the ideal college football playoff format. We'll come up with ours at 5:05. And the Royals are placing Cole Ragans on the IL. Is there an uncertain future for him going forward with the Royals? That's next here on The Big Show. Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Lee's Tire Company, coming out of the really cold weather periods, and you're thinking about the road trips that you want to take this spring and summer. Don't forget about checking up on your tires, though. Make sure that they are in good shape for those long road trips, and head into Lee's Tire Company because they're the tire experts. They've got a huge selection, and they have so many ways to give you money back in your pocket whenever you buy new tires, including this month when they give you $140 back on select sets of 4 Cooper tires or $180 back on select Goodyear tires. There are so many other deals that they run each and every month. You can find them at leastirecompany.com. You can also go there to browse their full selection, put your specs in, see what they've got available to you, and then head into Lee's Tire Company on the Business Loop in Columbia or at University Garage by the MU campus or their location in Centralia. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leastirecompany.com.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
Summer is coming. Are you ready? This is Michael Agnew at API Project Fitness. Now is the time to get moving. For a limited time, try our gym and all of our classes and expert coaching for just $1 for your first month. That's right, full access, real results, and a community that pushes you to be your very best, all for just $1. No pressure, no excuses, just progress. Stop waiting and start today for just $1. Find out more at apiprojectfitness.com.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Ed Bank, and we've got NBA playoff basketball coming up on ESPN Radio at the bottom of the hour with the Knicks and the 76ers, but New York will be without OG Anunoby. He is out with a right hamstring strain and will not play in tonight's game. Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson will go for New York. No word yet on Joel Embiid's status for Philadelphia. Our coverage gets underway at the bottom of the hour. Meanwhile, the Spurs and the Timberwolves are the second game of the night. That series tied at a game of peace. It is an off night for the Lakers and Thunder. ESPN's Q Myers doesn't agree with the argument that LeBron James may not be getting enough calls in this series.
LeBron James shot 316 free throws this year. 316, not counting the postseason. Come on, man. He talking about the little guys in theatrics. Has he seen LeBron James and his theatrics?
That series resumes tomorrow night in Los Angeles. Hockey tonight. Sabres host the Canadiens in an hour. Buffalo looking to go up 2-0. And the Knights and Ducks score up. That series tied in a game of peace. In baseball, as first reported by the California Post, confirmed by ESPN, Dodgers pitcher Blake Snell is coming off the injured list. He will make a start tomorrow night against the Braves.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs. From quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options, Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
From Faro.
15 to the 10, to the house.
Bush.
Back to the wall, and it's got her.
And Arrowhead.
Touchdown!
Kansas City to your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
If you were king of the world, or at least king of the college sports world, what would you do with the college football playoff and the NCAA tournament? We know expansion is coming, but let's live in our little bubble for a moment. And if you had it your way, how would you handle the formats for the postseason in college football and college basketball? That's what we're talking coming up here in just a couple of minutes. You can call or text us with your response to that question. How many teams in the playoff for the football? How many teams in the playoff for the basketball? What would you do with those two respective tournaments? Give us a call or a text with your answer, 573-875-KTGR. We'll talk a little Royals at 525. Yeah, Cole Ragans, that elbow thing that we discussed yesterday, the valgus, whatever you call it, that's not great because he's on the IL now. So what does that mean for the Royals in the near term and maybe Cole Ragans in the long term in Kansas City? Plus, I'll complain from a fantasy football perspective about the Jets extending Breece Hall. Yeah, that's not what I wanted to see. Oh, that's coming up and more, but first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Look, Cardinals pitching staff outlasted a pretty good unit on the other side in San Diego last night. 2-1. Cardinals get the victory. Matthew Liberatore gets the win, going 6 strong innings. Mason Wynn with a timely hit. Alec Burleson with a big home run as well to tie the game. Very key for the Cardinals to get back into it. And that's a really impressive win to go and start the series with against a strong Padres team. We'll see how Michael McGreevy is able to handle the Padres lineup tonight. Obviously, they'll want to do a lot better than they did yesterday against Liberatore, so maybe out the blood a little bit. But Cardinals still playing about as well as you could have hoped them to be playing. And just enjoy the fun as it all continues throughout this weekend in San Diego. 8:45 first pitch tonight.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
Yeah, Cole Ragans goes to the IL after the valgus extension overload that he was said to have after his start on Tuesday, where he came out early. That's placing him on the 15-day injured list. They'll wait a few days to see how he feels after that. He said he hopes that it is a short stint on the IL. The team also relays that sentiment, but you just never know with elbows, right? And if it is, in fact, a long-term elbow thing, what does that mean for Cole Ragans' future as he's a free agent after 2027?
Number 3.
Well, now we know the kick time for Mizzou KU. We knew already that it was moving to that Friday of the second weekend in September. And so why not? Now we know in Kansas they'll be kicking off at 7 p.m. It'll be a Fox broadcast. You'll be able to hear it on KTGR, obviously. But now we know exactly what time that's going to be. And look, make the most out of it. It's a primetime window. It may not be completely ideal for everyone in Mizzou land, but, just see how it goes for Mizzou and try to spoil Kansas with their first home game in this long-time series that's being renewed.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Mizzou baseball tonight. A little bit delayed. They'll be starting at 7 p.m. this evening. Wait for the rain to pass through Columbia. Hosting Vanderbilt. And look, just trying to get at least a win or two more before the season ends. But it is a bleak outlook at the moment. Last home chance for you to see Mizzou baseball this weekend. So weather will be nice. Go and check it out.
Number 5.
What is the 5 fingers? Say to the face. Slap.
NCAA is also talking about switching the men's basketball game from halves to quarters. I would be on board.
That's the Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
Call or text us 573-875-KTGR. Maybe it's more of the fact that I'm on board with this because that would mean everybody is on the exact same plane. Everyone does it uniformity across all levels of basketball as they are standing now. Men's college basketball is the only level of the game where you have halves and you count fouls up to 10 in each half. I think if you move to quarters, first of all, you can reset the fouls at the end of the quarter, and you can do it the same way the NBA does, which I think would be beneficial. And I think you also have a chance to have faster games, not have them drag on a little bit, because if it's modeled the same way that the women's game does with their media timeouts, that would mean fewer of them. So I would be on board.
Yeah, I don't really feel strongly in one way or the other about this. And I think it would be one of those things where if I were saying I resisted it, it would not be for any other reason than just I don't like change. I don't think there's a great reason not to change it. And so if they do, like I'll get used to that one. That won't be an issue for me.
I wonder if it's even connected to the expansion of the NCAA tournament a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they can't change it this year. Officially, it's not a rules change year, so they have to wait until next year. But the NCAA put out a release today saying, hey, we are still discussing this. And then here are they're not rule changes, but there are points of emphasis that we will implement going into this upcoming college basketball season. But like the fact that along with the expansion of the tournaments, they are trying to expand like the commercial opportunities too. And maybe that means a bit of longer breaks, but if you can blunt that a little bit by having fewer breaks in NCAA tournament games, and again, like they're getting more games to work with, so whoever is buying schedules for these broadcasts, you're still getting more chances for your ads to play. I think having this change allows for, along with expansion, can still keep everybody happy in that sense. And fans might actually, again, fans hate it right now, but fans might actually be pleasantly surprised by the after effects of going to this change and then having an expanded tournament.
Yeah, I don't think people like the idea that the tournament expansion maybe it has been driven by TV and the notion that they need more commercial revenue. Like that's not a great look, and fans won't appreciate that aspect of it. But as time goes along, like you said, there may be other aspects of it. And like Rob Veno said, like at the end of the day, it's more games. It's a reason that I don't feel as strongly about the basketball one as I do the football concept, because the impact to the regular season, I think, is virtually nil when it comes to college basketball expanding from 68 to 76. The regular season already kind of is what it is in hoops. And March is, for better or worse, like you said yesterday, you're not going to beat football during those months of November and December and January. So it is what it is, more or less. College football, though, is going to see a significant impact on the regular season if they change that postseason format.
Well, they're definitely changing it there in basketball, and in football, I mean, it seems a matter of like how many teams at this point.
Yeah,
like,
and when, but I think
yeah,
it'll be for not this coming season, but the one after that,
Right.
that they will make that change.
Yeah, and so like we're all prepping for that, but let's just live in our own ideal world and try to create postseason formats that would be ideal for everyone involved. It makes teams happy that they have enough access to it. It makes fans happy that they don't see a bunch of teams that they think don't deserve to be in there and are all of a sudden getting a chance and then potentially creating rough matchups to begin said tournaments. Can we come up with a format that makes everybody happy in our ideal world for the NCAA tournament and for the college football playoff? What do you think?
Probably not. No, I don't think we'll be able to make everybody happy, but we can at least talk about what we would do and present our reasoning behind it. Are we starting with football or basketball? How do you want to play?
Let's actually start with basketball because we know for sure where that's going, but let's start with that because it's been more top of mind this week.
Yeah. Like, my thing with basketball is that the 64 remains sacred. And when they expanded it to 68, you were kind of wondering what that would look like. And honestly, now in the 15 years that we've had it, it's been fine. Like, I don't feel like it's detracted from anything. It's kind of nice to not have to wait as long for basketball action to begin after Selection Sunday. So I've been generally favorable on the first four as it was and the way that was structured. Do I want to expand it further? I'm like I said yesterday, I'm not super upset that they've done so, but I also, if I were choosing it, Andy, I think I'd probably stick at 68. Like I like the element of the way the first four functioned. I like kind of seeing that usually there'd be one of those 11 seeds that would maybe have a chance to go on a run. And we've seen it multiple times. And that's kind of an interesting storyline. So like that would have been fine for me to keep it the way that it was. But I don't feel as strongly about this one because there are some elements where March Madness was feeling a little stale at times. Maybe that's because it's just anecdotally we haven't had as many upsets in recent years, last couple of years. But I don't know. I think with the advent of NIL and the way that has impacted the game, and we've seen maybe some of those Davids have more trouble slaying the Goliath, that like maybe just throwing some chaos at it can mix it up and give us a better result. So yeah, like if I had my druthers, I think I'd keep it the way that it was at 68, but I'm also not going crazy about the fact that they're expanding it. If I were going to expand it to 76, I would do so with more guidelines than they're going to do about mid-majors getting an opportunity. And I don't know, Andy, if that's...
I'm with you. I was about to say that.
What softball does when it comes to a 500 overall record. Obviously, I don't think that would have much of an impact, but you do something like that where you can maybe tell the high majors that they've got to at least meet a certain threshold to be considered. I think that would be something that could honestly make for a more compelling event overall. So if I were going to do that, yeah, expand it, but do so with some guardrails so that we can get to see some mid-majors that are deserving, because nobody was clamoring other than Bruce Pearl for Auburn to be included in this last year's NCAA tournament. But that's what would have happened under this system.
Yeah.
And so to look out for that potential in the future, yeah, give me some more of the mid-majors and let them take their shot at it. That's not what's going to happen, but if I were king of the world, that's how I would handle expansion.
So I think that's right. Now, I think the only way that you could, I just don't see how you could fairly legislate, like you need to have a certain winning percentage in conference to do this. Like that's ultimately what people point to. They say that this team's not deserving and they point to Auburn being like 6-12 or whatever it was in the SEC. And I get it. That's not great, but it's hard to legislate that across all leagues. And like, you'd almost have to have stipulations for the Power Four, or whatever it is, which would get a little sticky. I like the 500 overall aspect of it. The only thing that makes me worry is that, well, then everybody's you're going to have like 10 bye games for some of these teams because they'll be worried about finishing 500 overall.
Are there that many teams though that have ever come into a situation where it's close other than Auburn? Like Auburn, that was like the first time we've really seen something like to that degree where they scheduled tough to their credit.
Yeah.
And that as a result, they were kind of on that line, but they still would have qualified. Like that wouldn't have. So given that even that Auburn team wouldn't have been knocked out by that because they finished 500, right?
Right.
Probably not a rule that makes a lot of sense to include, because if the worst, most egregious example of it that we've ever seen also wouldn't have been impacted by that rule, and it's probably not that relevant of a rule.
Sure.
And obviously this would just be for at-larges, like a small conference team that is sub 500 and wins their tournament. Good for them.
Auto bids are fine. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I don't know if there's a way to do it without just saying like 500, if that actually has an impact or not.
I like the idea of giving regular season mid-major champions an auto bid as well.
Ooh. Okay.
But what I fear is that it wouldn't matter operationally, but you probably can't just say for the mid-majors, like, hey, we're only doing this for you. You probably need to do it for the high majors. But honestly, like if you're a regular season champ for a high major, like you're
going to be
like it doesn't matter. Like you can just go ahead and say, yeah, you also get an auto bid for being the regular season champion.
Right.
So that I wonder though, that does have a chance of getting gamed a little bit by the mid-major conferences, because then they see an opportunity of, oh, well, if we have a regular season champion, and a different team wins our
Yeah.
conference championship,
Those
we get
refs.
another team in. Hey, referees.
Hey, we know the ACC
Right.
refs
Yeah.
have gotten the call
Right.
in the football realm. That would be like the
Right.
MAC conference refs.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
No, you can't
the
do that.
MEAC would be, there'd be a scandal all of
Yeah.
a sudden, right?
No,
So,
I'm not as much for that. Here's what I would say. And maybe, again, there's not a great way to legislate this because you'd have some power conference teams that would be like, well, how did you come up with this? But I would want all the at-large games that were played in Dayton and wherever else to be like do it on purpose. David versus Goliath. Every matchup has to be mid-major versus power conference in those 11 versus 12 matchups.
Okay.
Now, that's not going to strictly adhere to an S-curve. And so I understand that like you're changing a little bit of the format of how they seed teams when you're doing this. But it's like I don't really care if you're an 11 or a 12 and like you're all thrown into a pot as far as I'm concerned. I don't really care who is the highest ranked. Like I don't need it to be bracketed like that personally to say the worst 12 is going to face off against the best. Like whatever. I'm not that worried about that.
Right.
Give me those matchups on Tuesday and Wednesday to kind of spice up that conversation that happens now annually every February and March as we're talking about debating Miami of Ohio versus Auburn. Just give us that game 6 times on Tuesday and Wednesday. I think that would make for a really compelling event, and I would actually be in favor of expansion in that universe. If you're telling me we're going to do it this way, or say like to the best of our abilities, we're going to look at the 12 at-larges that have to play a game because there's going to be 12, 15, 16 seeds that have to play a game, and then there's going to be 12 at-larges. If it's 7 and 5, whatever, but we will match them up for television. We're going to tell you out front that we're doing it. It's a selection committee, just like football.
Wow.
We're going to match these up for narrative and storyline by pitting the power conference opponents against and as a fan of the sport, who is going to say no to that? There'll be coaches that say no to it, but too bad. Like I think that is a way to finally give something to fans.
we haven't made everybody happy. We have not done that. We have
But
not.
we're not going to. And if I'm the one in charge, I'm finally going to give a shout out to the fans who support the dang endeavor all the way through. Give us something like that. There would be, those debates that were had between should Auburn get in, Miami of Ohio, what should happen here? And they tell us that Tuesday, Wednesday, as an appetizer to the round of 64, you're going to get all of those games played, and we're going to get to find out if the Giant Slayers can earn their keep, or if this year the Power Four, those were the teams that really deserved it, the P5. Like that would be a really compelling way to do it, in my opinion.
Man. Okay, so here's how I would situate the selection part of it to try and get more of those mid-major teams that were really good in the regular season. There's a wild card system. There's almost like an at-large sort of way. Like if you're a regular season champion, you're thrown into a pot. And if you are one of the 5 highest ranked regular season champions that is not included in the field already as a team that would be considered as an at-large, you get a bid. Or maybe the 4. Like let's maybe make it a round number. Because here's what I would say. I wouldn't go all the way to 76, but I'd be fine with 72. That means that all the 16s are play-ins, but none of the 15s are. And you kind of get that cutoff point. Like, okay, 16s are playing into the tournament. Fine.
Okay.
But you still get kind of the effect of like teams are scrunching down in seed line and maybe still creating some compelling matchups for the 2 versus 15, 16 versus 1s. I think you include that, but you use the same system of, okay, if you win your regular season, you're an extra consideration for the tournament if you don't win your conference tournament, but it's only reserved for like the best of the best in that tier. So like if Miami, Ohio, let's say they weren't good enough to be an at-large, which in this case they still would have been, but like let's say they weren't and they lose their conference tournament, well then you're still getting in because out of the other regular season champions in the mid-major leagues that did not make it, you are still among the best, and so you're going to get a chance to be in this thing. And if you want to make them play in for it, I sure, you can do that, but that's how I would allow for that to be included as a chance for mid-majors to get in, while also protecting against leagues saying, well, let's see if we can get an extra team or anything like that a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, I think as long as, like, again, they're doing this, we know it's going to 76. What's the way to make it better? Add in some incentives or some opportunity for mid-majors, because I feel like that's the group that's going to get kind of lost in the shuffle. So we're both kind of on the same page about doing that. How you do it, maybe we go about it different ways, but I think it's a reasonable stance that most college basketball fans would agree with.
All right, football.
Football, as long as Notre Dame is legislated in every year, I really am not going to be too picky, but they deserve it. I mean, they do.
Yeah,
they should
just,
be.
Yeah,
they work so hard.
Look how upset they were when they didn't get in this time.
They weren't.
We don't want to
about
make
that.
them upset again.
I want them to feel bad.
Right. They felt so bad. They're just like, no, we're not playing in a bowl
I
game.
know.
We're taking
And I
our
just
ball
hated
and
seeing
going
that.
home. Yeah.
I hated seeing
just
that.
Really tough.
So as long as Notre Dame is in, I'm good with it. No, like I'm not messing around with a 24.
Join
and like
a conference. Join a
there's
conference.
a lot. There's a lot of ways you could do the football. Am I allowed to just say, let me have a few more years of 12 and like let different iterations of a 12er play out so that I can kind of learn from that? Like I think there's a lot of merit to the number they're at. And I just don't feel like college football is a sport where, as you get into the 18th or the 21st best team, I don't need those teams to win a national championship, because inevitably they slipped up too many times during the regular season. So I'm out on the 24. I just give me a little more of this 12. Let's see how that plays out. Kind of a cop-out answer, but that's what I would do at present.
See, I don't want to. I'll go to 16.
Okay.
And part of the reason is because, I mean, first of all, like that we joke about Notre Dame. I mean, there are some teams 13 to 16 that I would have been intrigued by seeing in this tournament. That would have been nice to see. But I also want to see the best of the best that get into this field have a true opportunity to host a game.
Yeah.
And so if you just build a straight, I know it's kind of cookie cutter, but like if you just build a straight up 16 team bracket, everybody plays in the first round and everybody plays at home sites in that first round. And then by the time we get to the quarterfinal round, it looks exactly the same. Like, I'm cool with it. You're still playing for something by trying to get a top 8 seed. That matters.
Yeah.
I would be bullish to that. Honestly, with just create it can appease everyone, get 16 teams in. And
does it diminish the regular season too much, though, would be my question.
No,
when it comes to like those top teams don't have any incentive other than they're playing a home game, I guess. But
I don't think so, because again, in this model, I'm keeping conference championships. Like I am not sacrificing that like the 2014 model would, where you are essentially adding a round and you have to add a weekend and all of that.
Is that enough realistically? Like, are they going to be able to, is that sustainable to have the conference championship games without a shift to the format that incentivizes them? Or is your point like, yeah, because like I'm worried about that team that's at 1 or 2. Like take a look at Indiana, Ohio State this last year in the Big Ten game. Still would be meaningless because they're both getting a home game. That's
yes.
Can you incentivize those games in a way to be like, if like I would somehow the teams at the very tippy top to get a bye. And look, for me, I would still play those second round games on campuses too. I know that's like not really an option, but that would be the way that I would resolve that is to structure it in a way that there's a bye component for the upper echelon of teams that prioritizes, the conference championship games.
The model that I think was proposed when 16 was being thrown out there was a double bye for the top 2. And
see, I don't know if that's great.
It's like double buys is where I start to really like
in football.
Yeah,
rest
man.
versus rust. What I would do if I'm going to expand it, and you're not going to like this because it kind of caters to the SEC and the Big Ten. But if I were going to do anything, it would be like go with the NFL format where you've got 2 buys in a 14-team field, and that way,
right,
the very top, which is probably, you don't have to legislate that it's Big Ten SEC, but like usually it's going to be the champions of those 2 leagues. You would think more often than not,
probably.
And like I would even maybe bake something in. I don't know. That part probably wouldn't be popular to try to like legislate it.
Heck, I think this year it would have been just both Big Ten teams because wasn't Ohio State the 2 even after they lost? I couldn't remember.
I would legislate that you have to win a conference championship to be considered.
Oh, okay.
That would be if I did the 14 team, because that's the NFL. They have 14 teams in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
They have a bye in each conference, and so you get to that next round, and it's the round of 8. Where those 2 teams that had a bye are incorporated, they get to host. So the round of 8 would be on campuses for me, and then you could do the final 4 of football at bowl sites. The championship can be a bowl site, whatever you want to do there. But I would say the 2 highest ranking conference champions. So that way you are incentivized to win Indiana versus Ohio State, and it means something to win a conference championship. And I think 14 would be the way that I would do that because you'd get. I think having more than 2 buys is too many some years. Good for you for winning the Big 12 championship. Probably most years that's just not going to stack up resume-wise to the team that did it in the Big Ten and the SEC. So that would be the de facto way that I would get those 2 champions something that they probably deserve. And look, if there's an upset in the SEC championship game, then by all means, the undefeated Big 12 team that waltzed their way to it because it's a bad league, good for you. Like that in that year, they would get the bye. But that would be my way to incentivize conference championships, keeping those games.
But then there could be years where there is such a stark disparity between, like we saw it the first year. Like
we did,
just like yeah,
we did. But that was that got to the degree of Boise State, and in this situation, it wouldn't because it would be the 3rd best conference champion, right? Like it's going to be. The best team standing of ACC Big 12 group of 5. Like, yes, I see where you're getting at. It could get dicey. I trust that as much as I bag on the Big 12 and the ACC, like, come on. And look, if those leagues have a bum champion too, well, then the SEC team that lost twice during the season just gets that bye, but they won the SEC championship, and I want that to be meaningful. And so I'm good with that. If they're 11-2 and they get a bye as a result of that, then bully for them that nobody else in the country had a better resume as a conference champion. That would be, I still think I stand by that one.
Call or text us 573-875-KTGR. Create your ideal college football playoff bracket and your ideal NCAA tournament bracket. We want your thoughts on all of that here on The Big Show. In the meantime, we'll talk next about the Royals and what the future holds for Cole Ragans now as he hits the IL. That's next.
Follow The Big Show on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And keep it here on your total sports station, KTGR.
My name is Taylor, and I have had insurance with Phyllis Nichols and her team for over 9 years. One of our early claims we had to make, unfortunately, was from a hailstorm. And as soon as that first hail hit our house, I texted Phyllis and I said, oh boy, we're in trouble. Phyllis walked us through everything, made everything very seamless. Phyllis made it so easy. Her team followed up, checked in, and really went to bat for us. When things weren't moving properly, she would make sure that everything was accounted for, and she really just did an above and beyond job for us and everyone we referred her to.
Got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Sweetie, the backyard's that way.
Oh, yeah. Just figured I'd use the toilet.
It's not normal for your man to pee indoors. He could be suffering from low D. Low deck. A low deck just isn't as fun to pee off.
Maybe I'll try sitting down.
Or no D. No deck at all. But there's help. With Kretsch's Custom Exteriors. A sky-high pee platform is all he needs to be and pee like a man again. Kretsch's Custom Exteriors. True beauty is on the outside.
Who doesn't love spring? The sunshine, birds are chirping, and you're busier than a packed mule hauling boxes out of the garage. This is Silas Coons from Coons Glass. push pause on the spring cleaning and get a hold of us about installing a screened-in porch. It'll keep bugs out while letting the fresh air of spring in. And it's an excuse to stop treating spring cleaning like it's moving day. Visit us at coonsglass.com.
Coons Glass, and you can see through it. We do it.
It's the event every new and expecting parent needs to attend. The Midmo Baby Expo presented by Boone Health is happening on June 6th from 8 a.m. to noon at the Courtyard by Marriott. From diapers and formula for baby to essential oils and massages for mom. You'll learn about new baby products and parenting resources, participate in fun giveaways, diaper changing competitions, seminars, and prize drawings. For more information and tickets, go to midmobabyexpo.com. It's the Midmo Baby Expo, Saturday, June 6th.
Think about everything mom has done for you. Now, and get ready to feel kind of bad here, think about all the gifts you've given to your mom to thank her. Okay, sure, you've probably given her a few good ones, but if you still feel slightly bad, the Candy Factory can help. Pick up their delectable chocolate-covered strawberries for Mom this Mother's Day. With every chocolatey chomp, Mom will know that you're thankful, you love her, and that you're the greatest gift giver this world has ever seen. The Candy Factory, your hometown candy maker, 7th and Cherry in downtown Columbia. Visit thecandyfactoryonline.com.
Step into a real-life snow globe with Zimmer Communications and Colette Travel on this 9-day European Christmas vacation. Stroll through Prague, Dresden, Vienna, and Budapest. From castles and cathedrals to twinkling Christmas market stalls. Sip warm Glühwein. Shop handcrafted gifts. And even visit a family-run candy workshop. There's still time to experience this trip of a lifetime. Save up to $350 when you book before June 7th. Learn more and reserve your spot today at ZimmerCommunications.com.
Play it or plunge it with Brian Ware Plumbing.
There's a guy that we all know, making sure our water flows. With a plunger in his hand, he's the hero of the land. You better call Brian Ware Plumbing. The clogs and leaks they never saw coming. Time to unplug your plumbing problems. Brian Ware is here to solve them.
Vote now on the Brian Ware Plumbing Facebook or Instagram page.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course, but they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brendan on The Big Show on KTGR.
All right, so how many teams would you put into the college football playoff in the NCAA tournament? Call or text us at 573-875-KTGR. So I guess, did we settle on like 14 for the college football playoff? I think you're right.
That's me. I don't know if you agree with that. I'm cool if you don't.
I think I'm good with that.
Way.
Yeah,
NFL style.
You swayed me. I think it should be. It allows for a little bit more incentive at the very top of the rankings, and it would just be a shame because those teams don't get a home game. That's what I want. At times I think they would value the home game a little bit more than getting an off week.
And that's the problem with not allowing those bye teams to have one. So I just say the Bulls can take a hike and go, I don't know, exist, don't exist, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, don't bake in as many bowls into the system, or just let it be an oscillating thing where like you go a little bit longer in between getting a stake in it. But when you're in it, it's a Final Four game. So like, good on you, but I just don't need. I don't, and we know that the sport is better on a campus, and it works for the NFL. And if you want to continue to professionalize and kind of carry that model, let it be that way. Let the best teams have that advantage for one more round. I don't have any problem with that. I think that would be a benefit to the sport.
Call or text us at 875-KTGR here on The Big Show. Okay, so the Royals placed Cole Ragans on the IL today.
Yep.
An elbow impingement. That's the easiest thing to say about what the situation is with Cole Ragans' arm and his elbow in particular. 15 days. So at the very least, it's that. There was optimism, at least from Royals camp, of saying like, hey, we hope that this is as close to the minimum stay as possible. Seems that they're hopeful it'll be short, but it'll be dependent on how he feels.
It's his elbow.
He is not throwing for 3 to 4 days, and then he will ramp up. But, yeah, the elbow, that's what makes you worry. And like what makes me worry in particular for that, with it being the elbow, is that like lately, and certainly this year, like Cole Ragans his effectiveness and why he's still getting a good swing and miss. The fastball is there, man. Like it is as well as you could hope it to be. Is a very effective pitch, but the secondary stuff's not there. And usually having your secondary stuff, I'm not the injury expert. We'll obviously ask the injury expert next week about it, Will Carroll, but a lot of how that comes off your hand is dependent. It puts a lot of stress on that elbow. And so you just wonder the effectiveness of those pitches. Is it being affected by his elbow not being strong enough, and there being an issue that's could linger on the more and more he tries to correct it just with whatever treatment he's got? That's my wonder as the novice on this whole thing. But just that's the problem right now with Cole Ragans, is that he's really only got the fastball working and nothing much else.
Yeah, I think the elbow thing is a concern to me, because let's say he does come back in a couple of weeks and pitches for another month, but it's kind of up and down the way that it's been. Like, his performance is dictating that he's going through something physically, right? I think I wouldn't be surprised to see them continue to kind of say, it's small. There's no long-term damage or anything. But then, like, you get to a point in the season where, there's the Tommy John. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what they're saying it is right now, but all roads when it comes to the elbow kind of feel like it leads to that. Unless you're Tarek Skubal and John Heyman tweeting out, I don't know how he got this wonderful scoop. I got to figure out how Heyman had this, but that it was just the most simple loose body surgery anyone's ever had for Skubal. And
wow.
He might be back in a couple weeks. Like, so
okay.
It was like, originally they said 2 to 3 months. And then it was, he's got the best elbow.
Yeah,
that was the most,
end of the
that
month.
was the loosest body ever. It basically fell out. They didn't even have to cut him open.
Wow.
And it's like, wonder who told you that information.
That
John.
is
But
incredible.
I feel like with Ragans, like, that's the road we're heading down. I just don't know if it happens in the month of May or July or September or next year. But like, I think when you start down this road with elbow, that is my ultimate fear, is that you're going to get to a point where it's not, you got to go for the route that is going to take 18 months, you know?
Maybe for even a little context to that, David Lesky covers the Royals on his Substack Inside the Crown, has a lot of great insights on this. He tweeted today about a former Royal that used to have this, and unfortunately a Royal who is no longer with us, rest in peace, Giordano Ventura, had this back in May of 2014. He missed a start and came back fine. Every player is different, of course, so we'll see how this goes for Ragans. For what it's worth, he came back from it, Giordano did, with a 2.93 ERA in his next 8 starts before the break, but his strikeouts were way down. It's just about seeing how he responds to that, but there can always be negative responses. And yes, any extra time that he spends on the IL, we immediately get skeptical. But even if it's, Brendan, even if it's not Tommy John, like even if it's just something that keeps him out for a couple of months and he comes back and still is not as effective as you would hope it to be, and then you continue to worry about that in the back of your mind. And he is a Royal until 2027, at least for now, right now. That then becomes a major question as to whether you try to extend that time for longer when he is past 30 at that point.
Yeah, that's tough. And like, if you're not going to do that, would you trade him? And how do you do that if the trade value is not there because of this lingering elbow concern? It obviously, with Giordano Ventura, it's very difficult to kind of like make a comparison, because obviously he lost his life in the middle of his career. And so we have no idea what he would have gone on to do. The last couple of years of his career, his ERA was in the 4s compared to the 3s. Like I wonder, with players that have issues, but they're able to stave off the big one, is that something that they're having to work through and like always be cognizant of? And then someday it hits you with the Tommy John? Or is it something where like, no, it's what they say, if he's dealing with this slight inflammation or whatever, you know, however they're terming it, the impingement, that like I saw it termed pitcher's elbow, which doesn't sound great, because like pitching is what he does. And they call it the pitcher's elbow, like, you know, tennis elbow. That's kind of a more common term.
Yeah.
I just don't know if you got pitcher's elbow, does it eventually catch up with you? And Ragans, it's not like he's been the pinnacle of health in his career. Like I feel like that's always lurking and looming until if and when the Tommy John hits. I'm just talking, look at him for the next 5 to 10 years. Is he going to have one? I don't know. I would think that the guy with consistent kind of elbow murmurs is more likely to have to deal with that than the guy who doesn't have anything like that. But at the end of the day, most pitchers are going to deal with elbow stuff because that is a unnatural motion for your body to do. And if you do it repetitively, it's going to catch up to you eventually.
And times are a little different too. Like, again, as Will Carroll has told us time and again, there are doctors that will just say, like, look, Tommy John, we are better at it now, and we can kind of get you back sooner than we used to even 10 years ago. And it's not to say that pitchers just elect to do it out of, no other context whatsoever, but it's maybe easier to make that decision now, just knowing of how the history of Tommy John is, how more and more pitchers are needing it. And so pitchers maybe just somehow decide, like, hey, at some point I know I'm going to need this, and so let's just do it so that I'm good to go for however much longer so that I can get back to my career as soon as possible. And that kind of thing. So, like, that mindset, I think, has kind of changed over the last 5 to 10 years a little bit. It's not to say that's exactly the case with Ragans here, but you wonder about it in the back of your mind. Like, if you're Cole Ragans, like, okay, if I really do want to pitch past 35 and 36, 37, do I need to make sure that I have as much life in my elbow as possible? And does that mean just making sure we get everything done that needs to get done?
That's what I don't know, if it's like, if this is a precursor to Tommy John or if this is totally unrelated, but like, we don't really hear about a preventative Tommy John. Like, yeah, let's get it out of the way. But it does seem like a lot of times guys end up needing one. So how you frame that is interesting when you're dealing with constant kind of elbow stuff, the way it seems that Ragans now is. And not for nothing, his performance as this has gone along hasn't been great. Like, we saw him great for that 1 year with the Royals, and then since then it's kind of been hit and miss.
But very uncertain future now with Cole Ragans. Again, but they're expressing optimism at first. We'll see if that optimism is warranted. Just the 15-day IL for Cole Ragans, and they'll reevaluate him in a few days. But call or text us, Royals fans, how you feel about this troubling Cole Ragans news. 573-875-KTGR here on The Big Show. Brendan, troubled by the Breece Hall news that we heard earlier this afternoon. We will get to that after this live local sports center.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This sports center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Cardinals won last night, late at night, against the San Diego Padres 2-1. Matthew Liberatore with a great start. 6 innings pitched, just 1 run allowed. A game-tying homer from Alec Burleson and a go-ahead RBI triple from Mason Wynn. All the offense the Cardinals needed to get the victory against the Padres. They're 22-15 on the season going into the second game of that 4-game set tonight in San Diego. Michael McGreevy on the hill for St. Louis. First pitch, 8:45. Royals placed Cole Ragans on the 15-day IL with a left elbow impingement. They will reevaluate him in 3 to 4 days to see how he responds to treatment. Royals, after splitting a 4-game set with the Guardians this week, take on the Detroit Tigers tonight. Chris Bubich on the hill. First pitch is set for 6:40 at Kauffman Stadium. Mizzou baseball time moved back a little bit. Coverage will begin at 6:45 for Mizzou baseball tonight, taking on Vanderbilt as they start their final SEC home series. Mizzou baseball currently 4-20 in SEC play. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with the Boone County Office of Emergency Management, reminding you to be Boone County ready. Make a plan, stay informed, and sign up for Smart 911 emergency alerts at ready.boonemo.gov.
I'm ABC 17 forecaster Keller Matthews. I'm tracking some thunderstorms moving through the region tonight. A few pockets of isolated hail and maybe some gusty winds are possible, but otherwise nothing overly severe expected with this system. For your Saturday, looking beautiful, plenty of sunshine and temperatures in the low 80s. A few isolated showers are possible to start off your Mother's Day, but otherwise looking good. Things will clear out, get some sunshine by the afternoon, and temperatures in the mid-60s. I'm forecaster Keller Matthews, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
The Rich Eisen Show.
Malik Willis's era, unfortunately for him, his career as a Dolphins quarterback for many is over because he can't throw a baseball properly.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Different ball. And all I have to say to that is his career as a Miami Marlin, that's over. But his career as a Miami Dolphin, well, what are we doing?
Catch The Rich Eisen Show weekdays from 11 to 2 on KTGR and the KTGR app.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Advanced Tree Solutions. If you don't have tree experts in your corner yet, it's important to get them because lawn care services, they're hit and miss as to whether or not they know actually how to care for your trees the right way. And you're going to have even less luck with electrical companies if you're trying to figure out how you can get your trees away from power lines. So call Eric and his team at Advanced Tree Solutions because they do this all the time. They know exactly what your trees need. They know how to take care of safety issues to prevent damage to your home. They can remove trees that are dead. They can do stump grinding, stump removal. They can take care of pest issues involving your trees, so much more. Go and check out their full range of services at advancedtreesolutionsllc.com. And I promise you, if you work with Eric, you'll become a friend of Eric's. He is excellent with everyone he comes in contact with. So go to advancedtreesolutionsllc.com and let Eric and his team care for your trees. Give your trees the care they deserve with Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend.
Riddle me this. What costs way too much, breaks at the worst possible time, and suddenly starts making multiple noises no one can explain? If you guessed your car, congrats. You already know the answer. And so does Riddles Automotive Solutions, where car problems aren't riddles. They're just problems that need fixed. And that's exactly what Riddles does. Your car trouble's solved at Riddles Automotive Solutions, 4300 Bold Venture Drive off Smiley Lane.
I'm Robin Riddles. Come see us at your local mom and pop auto shop, Riddles Automotive Solutions in Columbia.
The crust, the cheese, the toppings. Nothing tops pizza. In this month's issue of Inside Columbia Magazine, dive into our up-close feature on the best local pizza joints. With the sun out, the fun's out. Read up on the sunniest outdoor dining spots and see who you know in our On the Town photo section. This and more in Inside Columbia Magazine. Get yours at break time convenience stores or subscribe at InsideColumbia.net.
Spring is here, and everything winter left behind is showing. The garage you can't park in, the shed you can't open, the attic full of, we'll deal with it later. Well, let me tell you, later is now. Time to call Wreck and Roll. From spring cleanouts and hauling junk away to full cleanups. They bring the crew, the dumpsters, and the muscle, so you don't have to. Get ahead of the clutter and start spring off clean with Wreck and Roll, where they roll in, wreck it right, and leave it clean. Find them at wreckandroll.net.
Progressive's accident response can detect and send help when you need it most after a major car accident. But other accidents, you're on your own. Like when you accidentally call your wife Mom. When you accidentally say Happy Holidays on someone's birthday. When you accidentally wave at someone you thought was waving at you. We can't help with those accidents, but Progressive's accident response provides peace of mind after major car accidents. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
Spring cleaning isn't just for your house, it's for your life. If your job is getting old, it's time to clear the clutter and spring into IT. Go to My Computer Career.
My Computer Career helped me get the skills and certifications I needed to start a new life as an IT professional in months, not years.
Earn the certifications the top employers are looking for right now. Visit mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation to see if it's time to spring into IT. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Tired of calling Andy and Brendan? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
Well, anytime there's NFL news this time of year, we gobble it up. That also kind of like it's like we learned about when the NFL schedule is going to be released today. They finalized that. We're learning about the announcement of the announcement. We gobble that up too.
That's big time.
That's next Thursday night, by the way. That's when the NFL schedule gets released. So
can't wait.
It's 7:00 on the dot. Yeah, be ready for that. We also learned today, according to the sources from Ian Rappaport, Brees Hall, going to be a Jet. 3 years, $45 million, going to stay with the Jets. Be there. And Brendan is having a bad day about it, apparently.
Well, I was hoping to someday see Brees Hall on a competent team. I love me some fantasy football. I think he's a great player, and I don't think we're ever going to see him maximized on the Jets. I saw Brees Hall tweeted this. He said, "Cried for the first time since I tore my ACL. This day really hit different for me, man." I think he cried for a different reason than I'm crying. Happy tears for him, I guess. Maybe.
Happy tears.
I'm crying at what might have been had he gotten on a real team.
What? How many fantasy leagues did you trade for Brees Hall in, hoping that he would get to a different team?
No, I don't know that I did. I'd have to go back and look and see if I've even got him on any of my dynasty teams anymore. But I would have loved to have seen like Ken Walker going to the Chiefs. That's fun. That's exciting for the upcoming fantasy football season. Like, he's going to be drafted in probably like the first or second round. Brees Hall on almost any other team, I think, would have been very similar. So I would have just enjoyed getting to go for that. But now I'm like, back with the Jets and for the long haul too. So,
all right,
good for him. I mean, you get your money. That's why guy tore his ACL. Anytime you're running back, you tear your ACL, you don't really know what the future might hold.
Yeah.
So for him to have that in his past and have a $48 million contract, like, good for him. Got his money. Couldn't have got it anywhere else though. That's where I'm bummed about it.
Producer Drake, you've been shaking your head. You've been what's your take on this here?
I get that the Jets are bad, but you keep on acting like they don't have like a decent offense built around them right now. I genuinely think that the Jets offense right now might be good.
Wow.
My poor friend Drake.
Okay, they have Kenyon Sadiq. They have a great wide receiver, at least one, and that's all that Geno Smith can throw to. To be fair, he's going to throw to him and the defenders occasionally. They got Brees Hall.
Who's going to throw to him?
Geno Smith. He was very good with Seattle. It's very good.
He's not a good quarterback, but he's not bad. We act like he's the worst quarterback to ever live, but he's just kind of mid.
No, he was
mid-bad.
He was okay
maybe
with Seattle.
He was okay, and that's all the Jets need right now. That's like the best. That's like Patrick Mahomes to the Jets. That's what that is.
The Jets were 29th in points per game last year. The switch to Geno Smith doesn't. Look what it did for the Raiders. It got Pete Carroll fired. Like, I just don't really think I buy it. I agree with what you said. Like, Garrett Wilson, I think, is a stud. Brees Hall, I believe, is a stud. I like the draft pick Sadiq for a tight end. What I don't like is I don't think they've got the quarterback that's going to be able to sustain those guys in that offense for fantasy football. So,
but
maybe they get a rookie in there the following year, but I think it's going to be too late for a running back like Brees Hall. By that point, you're kind of starting to get over the hill pretty quick. So I think by the time their next quarterback may be the answer, by the time they get him installed and like up to speed, I think Brees will be on the way down. That's just the nature of running backs.
So here's the thing, Drake. You're falling into a trap that we want to save you from here on this show. You are being convinced that the Jets are good now.
I don't think they're good. I just think that they're going to be not the worst team ever to watch.
My sweet summer child.
Look, and even if Geno Smith isn't the answer.
So many Jets teams in the past. It's I used to, and here's the thing, I fell for it last year, and I don't know why I did. It was my thought of saying that Aaron Glenn was going to change the culture and things were going to turn around, and actually they finished with a worse record than they had the year before, because Justin Fields very much was not it for them, and defensively they were in shambles, and so the offense couldn't catch up with it. But look, we will not be fooled again.
But Cade Klubnik. I mean, you're talking about Geno Smith being so bad.
Now there's
Cade Klubnik. He was projected to go in the first round at one point. Am I wrong?
Yeah, then he played another year at Clemson.
Am I wrong?
He played another year at Clemson and we came to our senses.
I could find you a lot of guys that were once projected to go in the first round. That's not a calling card to be particularly proud of. We'll see.
I know the entire offense goes through the quarterback, but if all it is just handing it off to Brees Hall, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think that they're going to be a playoff team. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying They might beat Buffalo once, maybe New England. They might get some good
Kansas
wins.
City on the schedule? Isn't Kansas City supposed to play them this year?
I thought the schedule is going to be released
Well,
on Thursday at 7 p.m.
Well, we know the opponent.
We know all the opponents and everything.
We just don't know when.
Yeah, that's all. But I think they are on the schedule, if I'm not mistaken. Let's hope that that is not in Kansas City's future. Drake wouldn't care. He hates the Chiefs. But either way, there will be some interesting thoughts about that for the Jets. And look, like they're leaning into the offensive part, which I think is right. Like try to build at least a little bit of momentum from that side of the ball, because it hasn't necessarily been working the other way around to build yourself back up to a competitive team. But it's not going to happen this year. It probably won't happen with this coach. Just, get some young players more acclimated to the pro game. We'll see. But I will be drafting Breece Hall in the first round if he is available to me. It won't deter me.
First round. Okay. I'll take him in the third. I'm not out on him. The upside is capped from what it could have been if he ever left the Jets. That's all.
We'll see. Let us know what you think about that as we say adieu on the big show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Thanks for Rob Veno for joining us. You can hear that conversation on the KTGR app if you missed it. Again, Cardinals baseball on 93.9 The Eagle in Cat Country tonight. You can hear Mizzou baseball coverage starting at 6:45. We'll see you at 4 on Monday. He's Brendan. He's producer Drake. I'm Andy. We're done for now.